What's up, co-counsels? I'm ready. Okay. Let us get into this thing. There's a lot to get into. I don't know how much we can get into. Um, I probably should have come up here sooner because I was on the fence. I'm like, oh, should I go live sooner? Should I stick to 8:30? I was on the fence, but I'm here. There's a lot. A lot has transpired. I did not watch yesterday just because I did not want to cloud my opinions or judgments. I want to, what's up, Allie? When I get up here, I want it to be first impressions. I watched a little bit of today. Huge mistake because I was distracted. I did not get as much work as I needed to get. But let's quickly get into Alessi's motion for a mistrial. As soon as I heard him make the motion, I had to shut it off so I could come up here and see exactly what it is that they were saying. Okay, let's get into the mistrial. Hopefully, we have enough time to get into Dr. Russell. And you guys know that I watch the news. I watch the news most of the time. Literally, I have the news on when I'm taking a shower in the morning. I have it on when I'm getting ready for bed. I have it on when I'm taking a shower after work. I listen to the news on my way to work. Anyways, I was listening to David Muir this more. I think that's how you say his name. David Muir, and David something. Okay. Uh, I think he's with ABC. I don't think it's NBC. I think it's ABC. In any event, I was listening to him casually this morning, just trying to catch up with, the happenings from the night before. They had Karen Reed on there. Karen Reed made I mean, she's on local news or whatever, but Karen Reed made national news. They talked about, it was like a 2 minute portion. They talked about the officer, Dr. No, not Doctor, Officer Denver, something that starts with the letter D, and how feisty she was. But that's really all I've seen. Let's get into this though. Let's get into it. Hopefully you guys had, is today Tuesday? Yeah. Hopefully you guys had, a good weekend and a good start.
While you're sitting here. So we're going to continue what we're doing, but we will give you the morning recess. So let's say about a half an hour. Okay.
All rise for the court, please. Close your notebooks. Follow me.
All right. Let's get into it.
Please be seated.
And I think this Karen Reed thing is about to conclude. We need to get to our girl, Lori. Because Lori, I watched some of her proceedings. I think they were from yesterday. She's telling the judge she's sick. She has a lot going on. And I also watch a little bit of Sade. I don't remember. I remember her first name is Sade. The victim's name, or the alleged victim. First name is Sade. I watched a bit of that trial, just trying to, figure out what they have going on there. And I don't know. I don't know what chance that defendant has, but I've not followed the trial in its entirety. Let's get into it, though. All right, Alessi.
All right, Mr. Alessi, I'll hear you. Mr. Alessi, I'll hear you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, hold on. They're giving him some.
Mr. Alessi, I'll hear you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Excuse me, Mr. Brennan.
Mr. Brennan, can you remove? Oh, okay, it's being removed.
Alessi, don't be listening to Jackson. Okay, you're brilliant. You do.
Thank you, Your Honor. Attorney Brennan just with regard to Dr. Russell, in open court in front of the jury, used the concept of DNA in this case. He has introduced it and brought it in for the very first time in front of the jury. He has done so intentionally. He intentionally brought up.
All right. So again, this is the first time that I'm listening to Alessi. I watched a bit of Brennan's cross-examination. As I said, I had to shut it off when I realized that they're making what is this, a motion for a mistrial. So I suppose the DNA he's referring to was the last question I heard Brennan ask was the lack of dog DNA on John O'Keefe's clothing.
DNA. Based upon that intentional mention, the defense moves strongly, vigorously for a mission.
Ali, I need to. We need to get to Lori. We need to get to Lori. I don't know. These Karen Reed people, they've been taking forever. Lori is like 2 trials. Lori has completed 2 trials within the same time frame. So we need to get to Lori.
DNA. Based upon that intentional mention, the defense moves strongly, vigorously for a mistrial with prejudice.
And it's so dramatic. I need to go back again. He is so dramatic. All right, come on, Les.
He intentionally brought up DNA. Based upon that intentional mention, the defense moves strongly, vigorously for a mistrial with prejudice.
All right.
A mistrial with prejudice. There has been no mention in this trial of DNA with regard to the topic, with regard to what Mr. Brennan has raised. There has been none. Specifically, the prosecution had, in the first trial, had a witness, Terry Kuhn, with regard to DNA. For whatever reason, the prosecution has chosen not to bring that witness in who would testify perhaps to DNA. As a result of that strategic decision that the prosecution made, there's been no mention. I want to be very clear. The defense has been incredibly assiduous and meticulous about not mentioning DNA in any fashion.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you guys seen Old Bag Around? I talked to our friend Jerome a little bit via email this
directly or indirectly. With regard to the hoodie shirt and the hole, the only thing that was adduced in direct examination was a mechanical function, simply of Dr. Russell testifying that a dog tooth went in and came out and caused a certain mechanical effect on the yarn. Nothing even close to the mention of DNA. With regard to representations,
let me get this thought out before I forget. Again, today, let's see. Okay, that was Brooklyn. What's up, Brooklyn? Okay, Brooklyn apparently has had enough of Karen Reed. Karen Reed's your girl, though. Don't get tired of her. All right. So I watched a bit of Dr. Russell's cross-examination today, and we have experience with Dr. Russell during pretrial motions, okay? During pretrial motions, basically when she testified that she did not write anything down because it's all from the dome, okay? She pointed to her head and she's like, it's all from my head. Here's the thing. I'm just comparing Dr. Russell and DeSogra, I don't know, Mr. D, okay? I'm comparing Russell to Mr. D. As far as, this line of work is concerned, as far as collisions, the trial itself, from the pretrial motions, my perspective has always been that Dr. Russell Nice word, use a nice word, use a nice word, use a nice word. Okay, Dr. Russell, to me, I would not consider her to be an expert for the purposes of this trial. Okay, Mr. D, on the other hand, he is definitely an expert that's qualified. And that threshold is low though, because Viverito was an expert. She was she was dubbed an expert. So the threshold really low. But I'm just saying that Dr. Russell is not a true expert as far as the Karen Reed trial is concerned, but Mr. D is. That said, though, Dr. Russell makes a better witness. She makes a better defense witness than Mr. D does. And the reason for that is because Mr. D is, again, most experts, okay, experts overall are not impartial, okay? They're not impartial. My problem kind of with Mr. D is the fact that oftentimes he would, again, now that I'm walking through this, there are a few issues. The one issue is that Mr. D just works for, a firm, and he's hired to testify in this trial. So he really has no dog in the fight, with the exception of him getting on the stand and saying that, pretty much he'll testify to whatever it is that his client asks him to do, because that is what he's paid for. So if they don't ask for a report, he doesn't provide a report. He stays within his lane. The opposite is true of Dr. Russell. She pretty much involved herself in this trial, right? So to an extent, we can say that she does have a dog in this fight. But why Dr. Russell is a good witness is because even though one could say she's bullshitting, and I say she's bullshitting because during her cross-examination, she pretty much conceded that the wounds on their own, none of those could lead her to conclude that this was a dog bite. So there's no way around it. Dr. Russell is bullshitting. It doesn't matter because Karen Reed, it's not her burden to prove. Okay, the good part about having Dr. Russell is because they advance a different theory in front of the jury. Again, Dr. Russell, she stands firm. She is solid. That old lady is freaking solid. She is a police officer, a detective, a doctor. She has so many expertise. And that's what I like about Dr. Russell. I like, even if her qualifications might be a little shaky as far as the actual subject matter, but she is solid. She is somebody that gets on the stand and you know that she's pretty much going to stand her ground. She's not going to be like DeSogra. Is that his name? DeSoga? I don't remember. But she's not going to be somebody like Mr. D, who's just wavering and flailing and pretty much, conceding to Brennan. Okay, so that's what I appreciate about Dr. Russell. She's a little bulldog, okay, but she's still bullshitting. All right, let's get back to Alessia. I had to get that out of the way before I forget.
Attorney Brennan has made that somehow there was a hearing that we were on notice. It is completely incorrect. Show me the hearing, show me the transcript where that has been discussed. The prosecution has also said, we always intended to bring on rebuttal Dr. Crosby, who would talk about the supposed absence of DNA, the alleged absence of it.
And here's the other thing about Dr. Russell. During that window, when I tell you Russell is solid, that woman is solid. Every time that Brennan would cross-examine her about the crash. I don't remember the precise questions because I was not writing them down, but it would be something along the lines of, when Karen Reed's vehicle collided with whatever. She's like, I do not know that there was a collision. So that's why she makes a good witness, because she is solid.
problem with that of trying to rescue the mistrial that the prosecution has caused with prejudice is that Dr. Crosby could never testify about such a topic, because I would object and object, because there would be no foundation, because the prosecution strategically chose not to bring in the foundation whatsoever in this trial. The fact that they did it in another trial, or perhaps did it, is irrelevant to this trial, as Your Honor has admonished several times. What happened is, this is a new trial, and whatever happens in the first trial is the first trial. So in conclusion, Your Honor, because of the conduct of the prosecution, and specifically the intentional mention of DNA, the prosecution has put in the jury's mind that topic that is irremediable. That cannot be reversed. That cannot be cured. That cannot be ameliorated with a jury instruction. That cannot be dislodged. The prosecution has to suffer the consequences of its own intentional actions of bringing up that topic. Ms. Reed is entitled, under the Constitution, under the Massachusetts Declaration of Rights, to a fair trial. And what has just...
I actually hope that Alessi does not deliver. Again, I've seen two sides of Alessi, though, right? Because right now I was going to say that I hope he's not the one to deliver the closing. I think they have to stick with Jackson. They have to stick with Jackson. Part of me wanted to say Yannetti, but I don't know, because the only thing that Yannetti has done brilliantly so far, it has to be on Friday, right? On Friday, when they brought the motion regarding the text messages, I did not watch. I think that was on Monday, right? When did the friend get on the stand? John O'Keefe's friend. I think today's Tuesday. So if today's Tuesday, it must have been yesterday. So in any event, I liked his argument there. Benji was hanging out with me then, and I thought Alessi did a fantastic job. But as far as delivery, again, when it comes to Alessi, I've seen him outside of the jury. He is, I guess, amped up the way he is here, which I don't really like. I don't appreciate. And again, excuse me, I've been in criminal courts, okay? I've been in criminal courts, and this demeanor definitely makes sense when dealing with clients, right? Because to a lay individual, this appears to be an attorney that's actually zealously advocating for their client, but for a jury, this does not always work. So I'm not sure. I think probably stick to Jackson. I mean, Jackson, he's passionate. He probably does have better delivery, though.
What happened is antithetical, abhorrent to a fair trial.
Okay.
The only remedy is a mistrial with prejudice.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
I know. I need to look at. Hold on. I'm just gonna look at the family.
With prejudice.
Excuse me.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Brennan.
And did Canoni's voice change overnight?
Inquiring of Dr. Russell about the absence of dog DNA is not only proper and permissible, it's essential, and the Commonwealth is entitled on cross-examination to explore theories and facades that the defense creates if there is actual evidence that undermines or contradicts the representations that they are trying to portray to this jury. Let's be clear. The defense is on notice that there is no dog DNA in the sweater of John O'Keefe. Let's be clear. The defense is on notice that we were not going to try to disprove all of their varying theories in our case in chief, but if they were going to propose theories that we thought were unsubstantiated, we would do so in rebuttal. It is clear these witnesses are on the witness list. More so, the conversation and examination of Dr. Russell is replete in the historical record of this case. Dr. Russell herself testified on December 12, 2024, that she did consider the absence of DNA in her opinion. She disregarded it. She discounted it. She created false theories about the potential destruction of it, but she did
He said false theories, okay?
testify this was part of her consideration for her opinions. Again, on January 7th, 2025, Dr. Russell again discussed the absence of dog DNA in John O'Keefe's sweater. Now, it may be inconvenient. It might be hurtful for the defendant's theories, for the creation they portrayed for this jury yesterday, but it is not improper. It's not unconstitutional. It's not irrelevant. It's very relevant. It is powerful evidence that the Commonwealth has to undermine this idea that the linear superficial abrasions on John O'Keefe's arm were somehow caused by a dog. They, on their case in chief, tried to create impressions about the cause of the abrasions to Mr. O'Keefe. The defense does not get to pick and choose what words the Commonwealth can or cannot use. They do not get to pick and choose what parts of Dr. Russell's opinions are important and not important. Because they chose not to emphasize, highlight, or discuss the absence of dog DNA on direct does not mean it's beyond the scope of direct examination. It means they did not want to talk about it because it was not helpful to them. There have been countless cross-examinations in this case where questions are asked beyond the scope of direct. This is not beyond it. It goes to the heart of her opinion. If I cannot cross-examine her, as proposed by the defense, about the heart of her opinion, she shouldn't give it. She shouldn't have an opinion, because you can't come in.
Maybe it's super feisty. I love to watch Brandon and Alessi go at it. I love
and just take the favorable factions to yourself and leave out reality. I intend on
He
asking
said they're leaving out reality.
Dr. Russell about her opinions
They're
about
pretty much insulting each other at this point.
the role that the absence of DNA played. Also, I expect to ask her about her attempt to diminish or demean the DNA evidence because it shows her inherent bias in all of her opinions, where she acts as an advocate, not as a scientist or a doctor. It is admissible evidence. We intend on using it. And when she returns to the stand, these are the very questions I'm going to.
That said when she returns to the stand. Okay. Not he had listen. Brennan knew that a mistrial was not going to be granted. I knew a mistrial was not going to be granted. I just paused I stopped watching because I wanted to react to this in real time.
To ask her.
Not in real time, but I wanted to give my first impressions, okay, without giving it too much thought. I knew it. I was literally about to say, Alessi has to have the final word. I said it. I've said it a few times before. Alessi needs to have the final words.
Sure, go right ahead.
Thanks, Your Honor.
I'd say it, sure. Go ahead.
Your Honor, a key misstatement of fact that Attorney Brennan just made. He said that Dr. Russell talked in prior proceedings and hearings about dog DNA.
Benji?
The record
What's up, Benji? How you doing?
is abundantly clear.
These folks are getting at it. I mean, they're always getting into it, but they're really getting into it.
She only did so in response to a question from Mr. Brennan. I have the transcripts right with me. She never raised it affirmatively. She gave her opinion that these wounds were to a reasonable degree of medical certainty from a dog. Mr. Brennan on cross said, did you consider, and this is in a prior proceeding, did you consider DNA? She gave her answer. She didn't raise it. I heard it. I was there. Your Honor was there. So this impression that Mr. Brennan is trying to give, that somehow the defense brought this topic up before, is incorrect. The second point, Mr. Brennan needs to have a good faith basis to ask the question. To have a good faith basis, he has to have some admissible evidence that he's got for it. He has no admissible evidence on dog DNA with regard to the arm. He knows he doesn't. He strategically chose not to bring that evidence in this case. Now he's saying he wants to use it. That would be improper in this trial for that reason. The other 2 points quickly. Mr. Brennan alleges an absence of dog DNA with regard to these wounds in the right arm. There was no swabbing of the wounds to of the right arm of Mr. O'Keefe. That is a major, major investigative flaw in this case. That should not be before.
We know at this point, a lot of us will concede that the entire investigation was a flaw. And
Fallen upon the defendant. Secondly, there are, with regard to the hoodie, that was one, I believe, swab taken, and we don't know much about it, but what we do know about it is there are horrible, tremendous chain of custody and care with regard to the hoodie, conceded, virtually left on the floor of the ambulance, left on the floor of the hospital, carried around by Mr. Proctor for weeks, maybe even months, not submitted for testing for months. There are huge issues that prevent a fair determination about whether there was even proper determination of whether there was DNA or not. So in conclusion, Your Honor, the defense has never brought up DNA or alleged absence with regard to the right arm of the hoodie. It's always been the prosecution. We were meticulous and assiduous in not doing it here. The prosecution needs to live with the consequence of its action. This is remediable, and I respectfully submit warrants only one ruling respectfully, and that is this trial must be declared a mistrial with prejudice.
They have 30 seconds.
Sure.
Oh boy. So you're responding to?
The defense can pound their fists and yell as loud.
This is probably gonna take up the entire life. How much longer do they have? Oh, he went back again. Did he go back again? I don't know. All right. So he said that man can pound and pound and pound. It'll make a difference.
The defense can pound their fists and yell as loudly as they want, but they can't change truth and reality.
At least people are insulting each other.
Whatever the motivation is for wanting a mistrial can't be based on a claim that the prosecution raised DNA for the first time with Dr. Russell at the Lanigan hearing. If we actually look at facts and reality, rather than making false claims about everybody in the courtroom and everybody else who comes in here, what we'll see in the Dr. Russell at the Lanigan hearing. If we actually look at facts and reality, rather than making false claims about everybody in the courtroom and everybody else who comes in here, what we'll see in the transcript, and this is the December 22nd, December 12th, 2024 transcript. I direct the court to the direct examination of the attorney who just accused the government
Hold on.
of raising it for the first time.
What
Despite his
page-
words,
what page
we
are you
have page 83, line 21. We have page
Did you see this?
122,
Good.
line 14.
This is brilliant. It's fantastic. And that's why I love to watch Brennan and Alessi go at it.
We have page 124, line 14. These are the words of Attorney Alessi on direct examination. And there are more. There are more. But that is enough for the court to understand that the representations are wholly mistaken by Attorney Alessi. Wholly.
All right, thank you. We'll give everybody a half an hour. So
Oh, okay.
All right.
So Canoni had to go look everything up and, make a decision. She took it under advisement. All right, come on. Okay. What is deleting?
Please be seated for the session.
I've not had a chance to get on Reddit today, but I can guarantee you people are talking about Bev Canoni being biased. I'm pretty sure they're probably saying the same thing in the comments. We'll take a look at the comments in a bit.
All right, so the motion for mistrial is denied. Your rights are saved. And Mr. Brennan, you can continue with this line of questioning.
Nor I did not address sidebar, the other issue that's.
Oh, is that it? That's it? I thought she was gonna you know, and get into it more, but okay.
Under court's consideration regarding Dr. Walsh's opinion.
Yeah. I don't see it without a foundation. So if you can build a foundation, I'll consider it. I do not believe that foundation has been laid yet.
I would expect that foundation would need to be substantial, specifically whether or not it was relied upon by the witness.
Yes.
Could you do that outside the presence of the jury so that I don't ask the questions in front of the jury?
Oh, yes, but not right now. They're on their way.
Oh,
All right. Do you have
I'll work around it.
Okay.
I'll work around it.
Your Honor, I would object to being done outside the jury, that it should be done like I've had.
Okay.
you objecting to?
Your Honor, I would object to being done outside the jury, that it should be done like I've had to do with several witnesses in front of the jury.
Okay. If that's what the defense wants, are you sure,
Dang, Big Sis was sitting out here the whole time.
Mr. Alessi?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, let me confirm with my. Yeah, okay. I am going to, yes, Your Honor, we are going to.
Oh, dear.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Big Russell.
Thank you.
I'll be done very quickly, so I'll have to make that decision.
Are the lunches here?
What are they eating for lunch?
Are they still over there?
Okay.
Want to stop them?
I could do it in 2 questions.
Yeah, please.
Oh. Want to stop?
Did you start yet or can you?
I just, if they're downstairs on their way up, I don't want to stop them.
I could do it
Benji,
in 2 questions.
Benji said, ooh-wee. Benji's having a good time.
Yeah, please.
Oh.
Yeah, they are fiery.
Excuse me?
They're still over this way.
Great. Okay, they're going to stay.
Your Honor, if it might help, obviously, with the subject matter, because based upon if Mr. Brennan only has 2
Please
questions.
use the mic. Use the mic. Use the mic.
Subject matter, because based upon if Mr. Brennan only has 2 questions, I may have 30 minutes that I could, most 35 to finish up whatever redirect that I have, if that affects Your Honor's scheduling.
I just didn't want to stop them if they were on their way. They haven't yet gone downstairs.
No, I don't think they need it.
All right, we'll do this now.
Okay.
Okay?
Dr. Russell, during your review of the case, did the defense offer you the report of John C. Walsh, MD, Deputy Medical Examiner?
I didn't hear the whole
I'm sorry.
question.
During your review, the defense provided you materials. Did they provide you the report of John C. Walsh, MD, Deputy Medical Examiner?
Eyes.
I don't recall.
May I approach?
May I-
Yes. Can we turn the fan off over here, Tony, please?
Checking on.
Thank you.
Dr. Russell, did you ever review or receive that document from the defense?
Oh, yeah.
Our girl said she was a police officer. She was a police officer. She's done a lot of stuff. Yeah.
And regarding Dr. Walsh's opinion, did you consider that when you formed your ultimate basis that the wounds on Mr. O'Keefe's arm were consistent with the dog bite?
Yes.
Did you disregard it or agree with it?
I disregard I disagree with his assessment.
Thank you. Yeah. Sorry, I'd like to inquire.
Your Honor, I would object. This is the same exact issue I had here with because the witnesses disregarded it, and I was not allowed to pursue questioning. So I do not believe, under the standards that's been set in this trial, that a proper foundation has been set.
What do you say about that, Mr. Brennan? How is this any different?
Pardon me?
I'm talking to Mr. Brennan. How is this different with this witness's analysis?
Because they specifically opened the door when they had her vouch for her own credibility, extolling her uniqueness and ability to determine that these were dog bite.
Yes, man. Today I was thinking, right? I was thinking about the caliber of lawyers we have seen so far. And if we go back to that ASAP Rocky trial, Mr. Lewin, the much older attorney, that was a brilliant prosecutor. They had a difficult case, but he was really good. I still cannot figure out if Brennan or Lewin is a bit, I don't know, are they around the same age? I think Lewin might be a bit old. Maybe he just aged faster. I don't know. Maybe he aged faster. But again, because today I was just trying to compare Lewin to Brennan, and I still cannot figure out who's the better prosecutor because both are actually really brilliant. Brennan is really, really fantastic. Okay. And I'm saying that as somebody that I've had a lot of trials. I have had a lot of trials. Very few people, and that's criminal trials. Civil cases, I've not had a civil case yet because most of this stuff, it just settles. Okay. But Brennan is really good. He's fantastic. He thinks very quickly on his feet.
And so when they open their own door to vouch for their own credibility and suggested that they're the only person or a limited person in the entire country that can do this, they should.
And I suppose if we think about defense attorneys, listen, Max Shard is definitely brilliant. Okay. I don't know that I can compare Alessi to Max Shard because I think Max Shard is really the standard. I think Max Shard is definitely the standard. I don't think Alessi might come close, but I think Alessi was brought into this trial because of the experts and civil attorneys do tend to deal or they have more experience with experts as far as depositions, cross-examination, things of that nature. But I think Max Shard is still the standard for what a defense attorney should be.
He confronted that they are not alone.
At least he embodies that standard.
There are other experts. And so this isn't affirmatively bringing in. This is when the defense continually opens the door and creates these issues.
What do you say, Mr. Leslie?
Thank you, Your Honor. My response is this. I'll give two quick examples. Dr. Welcher, Trooper Ball, Dr. Squirty Bello. They talked and opened the door under Mr. Brennan's theory of opening the door widely. They even had, as part of their direct examination, documents in Dr. Welcher's slide that mentioned Dr. Squirty Bello. You'll recall that slide. They even had material from the CARS team with a file named Trooper Ball.
I'm not letting it in.
Thank you.
All right, I'm not letting it in under that, Mr. Brennan. So you can mark the report if you want, but for that reason, I'm not. For the reasons stated by the Commonwealth, I'm not letting it in.
I don't need to mark.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Hunter.
Oh, so I'm seeing here that Big Lori, her case was actually adjourned or postponed because of her illness. So she got herself an adjournment. All right, come on. Are you guys coming? What's going on?
An objection.
Objection to what?
Where are we? Is it in evidence now?
It's not yet. It will be.
Okay.
Could you guys just say in evidence?
The DNA. It's not, right?
It is not.
Okay.
And is there a question?
Yeah. Yes, it's open. I denied the motion and allowed the line of inquiry.
Right. And then Lolly is just, I don't know what Lolly's doing. She's just there. All right, what's going on? Okay. Feeling panic.
Mr. Brennan?
Thank you.
Oh, and the Diddy stuff is ramping up. Okay, I don't have time in the morning, you guys. Maybe tomorrow. Do you want to do it? Let me think about it. Let me think about if I come up here early in the morning with the Diddy stuff. Let me think about it. Yeah, but I'm just gonna say this: in the Diddy trial, we're finally getting to see testimony from folks that actually worked in the actual organization, or what they're calling the enterprise. Apparently a security officer, they were paid off $100,000, not to be greedy, but $100,000 in California. Oh, but that was back in the day too. That was back in the day. Maybe that was a lot of money. Anyways, the security officer or guard was paid off $100,000. Apparently, that money was split 3 ways. 50K went to a supervisor, 20K went to another officer, and 30K was retained by that specific officer himself. Diddy told him, apparently Diddy handed over the cash himself, okay? Diddy told him not to spend it all in one place. I'm like, dude, if you give me the money, I can do whatever the hell it is I want to do with my money. But that's just me thinking. Anyways, I don't know that $100,000 is a... let us move on with Karen. Someone, I don't have all my Brennan.
Good afternoon, Dr. Russell.
Good afternoon.
Dr.
That girl does not even want to say hi to him. She does not. She doesn't.
Russell, we were talking about your differential diagnosis and your opinion that Mr. O'Keefe's abrasions on his arm were not consistent with impact or collision with the car. I was asking you.
Whoa, hold on. I just logged into Reddit. And on Reddit, again, I'm not going to be able to keep up with this stuff because I'm not watching it in real time. And I do have a real job that I plan on keeping. So somebody posted, this is an hour ago. They said, KR trial, so who's the snitch? And here goes the question. When Brennan came out guns blazing at the witness, Dr. Russell, today, regarding her conversation with Alessi, all I could think was, who snitched? My money's on the limo driver. How much did he get slipped under the table? Here we go with conspiracy theories again. So it sounds like Alessi had some type of improv. Here's the problem, though. Sometimes these folks characterize things not in a proper manner, but this kind of sounds like Alessi had an improper conversation with Dr. Russell.
Specifically about some of the things you may or may not have reviewed before you formed your opinion. You looked on direct examination at a photograph in Dr. Welcher's presentation, and it had a photograph of a person who had been hit and died as a result of a collision. Do you remember that photograph you looked at?
The photograph of which one specifically?
There was a gentleman
I've
lying
seen.
on the ground. His face was
All right,
redacted.
it sounds like a lot of people actually have Karen Reed fatigue. People are tired. They want to move on to something else.
And there was
Oh,
some
that one. Yes.
Remember that one?
Yes.
And when you discussed that, what was the reason? What was your point in discussing that?
I was answering questions.
Do you know what the point was? What you were trying to deduce or
No, I was
suggest?
just answering questions.
Okay. You have stated before that one of the reasons you do not believe that the injuries were the result of a collision or impact with the car is because there were no lower body injury breaks. Do you remember that?
That's one of the reasons, yes.
You would agree that a side swipe or a clipping collision is different than a front or a back immediate impact, like being run over. There's a difference, right?
In general, yes.
When you talk about the absence of lower body breaks, do you have any studies about the frequency or the likelihood of lower body breaks in a clipping
What you're asking
impact
about
as opposed to
DNA?
being directly run over?
No.
What are you asking about DNA?
When you
You're
looked at
on a
that
good time
photograph that was shown to you on
Brooklyn, you always have good timestamps. Do you have a timestamp for tonight or no?
direct examination, did you look at the actual injuries that were listed for that gentleman and see that there were no lower body breaks?
I looked at all the injuries, yes.
And did you recognize in that photograph and slide that there were no lower body breaks?
Yes, I did.
Hold on, I'm quickly going to fast forward. I mean, it really does not matter where we start with Russell. I'm just going to skip to a timestamp here because I'm trying to get into something.
In closing of what they would
Let's get to
This is about scissor up is a puncture. If you're going, that means,
that what they were describing was the dog bites down.
and when it bites down, it
I didn't interpret it that way.
allows the so-called scissor bite.
Yes.
So when the dog clamps down, the teeth kind of go to the side to tear the skin.
I didn't interpret it that way, no.
A scissor bite is when a dog bites down, yes?
Yes, I believe that what they were describing was the dog bites down.
And when it bites down, it anchors. That means teeth on the bottom, penetrate, puncture, yes?
They can, but they don't always puncture.
This is what I said about Dr. Russell. Okay. Shout out to Big Russell. This is a good witness here. Okay. I'm not saying that I agree with her testimony, but I like the fact that she holds her position. That is what you want from you. She's stubborn. Basically, I'm saying she's stubborn, and that's what makes her a good witness.
Sure.
And then the top is a puncture. If you're going to scissor, it requires a puncture, doesn't it?
It's a mechanism. It's a movement. What they're describing is a move. The way I read it, the way they described it is a movement like a scissor, where it's open and it's closed. It doesn't mean anything about how deep they penetrate.
There are no scissor bites on that wound, are there?
I don't know.
Girl, I was just vouching for you, Dr. Russell. I was just vouching for you. You cannot come up here and say you don't know. Come on now.
Scissor bites on that wound, are there?
I don't know. I see one or two things that shown up what I think might be upper and lower.
There we go. It's still a little wavy. It's still it's a little shaky, but I can deal with that response.
So it could be.
Would you define any of those abrasions as scissor bites, Dr. Russell?
We talked earlier
Dr. Russell, do not disappoint me, okay?
about how these marks here may be
The girl got her nails done and everything.
lower. I'm not going to define it. No, I can't say for sure that there's a scissor bite, but I
Dr. Russell, I was just vouching for you. Oh, girl. What do you think?
see things that appear to be characteristics of upper and lower teeth.
I'm asking you about scissor bites. Please listen to my question. There is nothing on that wound that is consistent with scissor bites, is there?
I don't know.
Well, you're the
Oh my goodness, Dr. Russell. Dr. Russell, Dr. Russell. I was literally just vouching. This is the problem. I should not have vouched before I actually listened to all of her testimony or most of her testimony, but she is testifying better than Mr. DeSogra.
the expert. So when you look at that, can you point whether there's any wounds that are consistent with scissor bites?
According to their definition, and that's not an accepted definition, but according to what they were describing, and I believe what they meant was an open and closing of the jaw as the scissor activity. I believe that there's possibly 2 areas where I see that.
You're now saying this article that you relied on redirect examination is not an accepted authority?
I'm not saying it's not an accepted authority. It is a peer review article.
The injuries caused involve a combination of biting, crushing, and tearing. Do you see any crushing or tearing in those abrasions?
Join me.
There's no crushing or tearing here, but does not mean that there has to be
there we go.
crushing or tearing.
I'm reading your article. I'm just reading verbatim, and
And
I'm
I'm-
asking you about it.
Yes, and I'm trying to explain so
No.
that nobody gets nobody misunderstands this.
Crushing and tearing that result in characteristic pattern
Okay,
of
so that timestamp really referred to Karen Reed's expressions, I suppose, body language.
punctures. A puncture is when a tooth penetrates the skin and there's some depth to it, correct?
Yes,
Show me one puncture, anyone,
There
on
were-
that wound.
okay. There are no punctures on this.
Russell, Dr. Russell, no. What?
On this arm that I see. However, again,
Okay, so I do like the howevers though. I love her explanations, and that's why she makes a better witness than DeSogra. I don't even, is that his name? DeSogra? To something.
the wounds don't have to have every single characteristic. It is it depends on the force of the bite, how the wounds are going to appear.
The injuries caused involve a combination of biting, crushing, and tearing that results in a characteristic pattern of punctures, lacerations, and avulsions. There is no punctures whatsoever in that wound. Would you agree with me?
I agree.
There are no lacerations.
Oh my goodness, Russell. And again, this is what I said. Brennan is a good lawyer because he does not let up. He does not let up. And Alessi is the same way in his cross-examination as well. They don't let up. They don't let a witness off the hook, regardless of how difficult they are. So Russell, I don't know. She perched her little lips together.
There is no punctures whatsoever in that wound. Would you agree with me?
I agree.
There are no lacerations in that wound. Would you agree with me?
I agree.
There are no avulsions in that wound.
Again, this is what makes Brennan, he is really a good cross-examiner, right? If we go back to, I do not remember. Let me think about the attorney. Actually, that was Alessi. I take it back. That was Alessi that struggled with cross-examination sometime last week. With Brennan, though, he is able to get yes, no responses. He's able to control the witness. I actually do have a metric. Hopefully, I have the time to create it this weekend. We'll see. Maybe I have the time to create it this weekend, but I do have a metric of what makes good cross-examination. I just have to put it in Canva.
Wound. Would you agree with me?
I agree. However, in
However, okay, come on.
I'm just asking you the question, Dr. Russell.
So you can maybe ask her now.
Specifically, this study says the injuries cause a combination biting, crushing, and tearing that result in characteristic pattern of punctures, lacerations, and avulsions. They name 3 things that are characteristic traits of a dog bite, and you would agree not one of those 3 traits is present on the arm of Mr. O'Keefe. Would you agree with me?
I agree. However, in that case, those were dog bites that killed the victim.
Okay.
In this case, we do not believe that these dog bites killed the victim.
When they were discussing
Okay, that's a new theory I was not aware of. So what's defense saying? Are they saying that he was attacked by Chloe, but he died of hypothermia? Is that what they're arguing?
this article on the victim who was killed, do you realize when they were giving background, this background has nothing to do with the case study? This is general background I just read. Do you realize that?
They were investigating fatal dog bites.
Do you realize that is not qualified in this article?
He's rolling a little eyes.
Do you realize that?
I realized that they were
Russell. And that's why I said again, I preface by saying that I would not call Russell an expert. She definitely is not on point. She inserted in this case herself in this case. I don't know why she inserted herself in this case, but it works out in the defendant's favor.
We're commenting on fatal dog bites. This is not a case of a fatal dog bite.
This article, I'm going to show it to you. May I approach?
Yes.
In the highlighted paragraphs
Yep, the
that Attorney Alisi had you read, that is describing the background of dog bites, not this fatal attack. Would you agree with me?
The title of the, no, I don't agree.
Okay. I move to introduce this as an exhibit, please.
Mr. Leslie?
I don't know. Don't look defeated. What's going on? I mean, even if you're defeated, don't go to them.
210.
Don't make it apparent, Big Russell. All right, let me find another timestamp. I know what they're talking about.
In the other article that you read from, that was highlighted as well. Who highlighted the portions you were to read?
Mr. Leslie.
All right, that's fine. Oh, wait, I missed something. I should have gone back. Oh, shoot, I don't think I can do that. Anyways, we moved on to another timestamp. I heard her say something. Let's get into this. That's why you need to let them first. Anyway.
The parallel abrasions, the pattern of believe
That it could.
yes.
Would you agree? Can
Agreeing to.
photograph to see how. And when you learn that,
What did she learn?
before or after Lexus, that very small. Dr. Russell, were you aware that very small fragments, shards of plastic that match the broken taillight of the defendant's Lexus were found when criminologists scraped Mr. O'Keefe's shirt and sweatshirt?
Yes, I became aware of that.
Did
When?
you become aware of that before or after you came to your opinion and conclusion that Mr. O'Keefe's arm?
Okay, so Big Russell, your answer has to be before, okay? Your answer has to be before, because if it's after, then you did not really do a good job or your opinion's kind of skewed.
Arm abrasions were not caused by a collision or an impact.
After.
Oh, Russell. What the hell? Okay, did that change her opinion or not?
Did you get a
What did it
chance?
say?
After.
And when you learned that, did you get a chance to see this photograph to see how small many of those pieces were?
Yes.
And would you agree that broken plastic, like broken glass, can tear fabric?
Yes.
Would
She
you
sighed a little bit. She's like, ha.
agree that broken plastic, like broken glass, can rub up against a person's skin, and if enough friction is caused, it can cause abrasions?
Yes.
Would you
This guy is really good at cross-examination. He's really good.
agree that if fragments like this were randomly in the sweatshirt, that it could?
Here's the thing for Karen Reed, though. They only need one person to hold out, all right? That is why oftentimes defense attorneys go for jury trials as opposed to bench trials, because the chances that 12 people can come to a unanimous agreement is not always guaranteed. And in this case, there are a lot of different facts that can have people hung up, like, so don't look so defeated. I mean, she's starting to look a little defeated,
Cause
but all you need is
cuts
one.
or abrasions to Mr. O'Keefe's arm?
I don't believe that fragments that are randomly in the sweatshirt or clothing would cause the parallel abrasions, the pattern of the parallel abrasions that we saw in the arm.
Do you know how Mr. O'Keefe fell to the ground and what movements his body and arm made as he fell to the ground?
Not definitely.
You don't know?
Cross-examiner.
How? No.
Do you know how much distance or little distance he moved when he was on the ground?
Yes, approximately, I think it was 20 feet. I initially heard 60, but around 20 feet, I believe.
Do you think, do you know where his body was found on the side of the road?
Yes,
Do you know if his body, before it rested, moved or slid on the ground?
yes, it did.
And it's your opinion that
Go back to that.
fragments like this could not have caused the superficial abrasions to John O'Keefe's arm?
Yeah, in reference to that last question, actually, that
So now she's going to change. Now she's going to change her answer.
I don't know that there was a collision, but I
Okay, so again, she has to correct herself because what I did notice about her, and I don't even know the point when I really started watching today, but at least on 2 or 3 occasions, Brennan asked her about a collision and she was firm. She said, I would not call this a collision. Again, Russell, a little shaky, but she does make a really good defense witness.
know that
Even
it's
though, in my opinion, she's not qualified.
alleged that there was movement of the body after the collision.
I wasn't asking about the collision, I was asking about his body. Are you telling us to a reasonable degree of medical certainty that these type of fragments that were found in his clothes could not have caused the superficial abrasions on John O'Keefe's right arm?
They can cause superficial abrasions, but not in that pattern that we saw on the arm.
I'm going to ask you the question again. Are you saying to a reasonable degree of medical certainty that these fragments did not cause the superficial abrasions to John O'Keefe's right arm?
Correct.
You said what? What's the question?
Did not cause that these fragments did not cause the superficial abrasions to John O'Keefe's right arm?
Correct.
I have no further questions.
What I was gonna say is I would not have asked that question if I was Brennan. All right, let us go back.
In closing of the
Just going back there because we missed something. She was about to talk about
And the methodology. Is there anything in there about whether
Blunt or rough surface.
went too far.
One of the things you looked at was the deputy medical examiner
Went too far.
in the dirt and was being covered by snow, sub 32 degrees, or body breaks. Fair to say?
doctor that does accident construction or is trained in accident,
You said that when somebody is in,
they were investigating fatal dog bites.
so I'm going to show it to you. May I approach?
Back.
In the other article that you read from, that was highlighted as well. Who highlighted the portions you were to read?
Mr. Alessi.
Yeah.
Oh, in the other article that you read from, that was highlighted as well. Who highlighted the portions you were to read?
Mr. Alessi.
Yeah, this is where you say I don't recall. Okay. That's not a good look.
It describes that teeth from a canine.
And again, that's what I've said. I've said it before. These folks that are called as medical experts, these folks are not impartial. were they not medical experts? I'm sorry, I should have just said experts. Okay, people that are retained as experts or people that volunteer their services as experts, they're not impartial. Folks that really have no dog in any fight would be an attending physician. For example, a coroner, they don't really care. That's their job. But these types of people, listen, they're coached, okay? They're coached.
Create a stab wound like skin laceration. They can do that, right?
They can do
Do you
that.
see any stab like wound lacerations to Mr. O'Keefe's arm?
No.
What is she chewing? Like, I don't know. Leave her alone.
It talks about punctures. And again, we've discussed this.
All right,
There is
fine.
0 punctures on Mr. O'Keefe's arm, correct?
Correct.
Where I think I already did this one, right? I think I did that one.
You said that when somebody is in a collision, that they can suffer injuries such as bruising or breaks.
Yes,
We've also discussed when
that's correct.
Let's go
Wow.
here.
How
Reason,
far?
let's see. We still have a bit of time. I want to go back to yesterday's testimony. Okay, I want to go back to yesterday. The officer D something Dever. I want to listen to part of her testimony because she made news. Okay, David Muir. She was on David Muir's show.
what was your measurement for this one?
I think about 4 centimeters, and this was a little bit more.
Did you note that in the report? Did you
No, I
actually
did not.
measure them? Excuse me. Did you actually come up with
Visually, and I can see that I think that these were caused by 2 canine teeth.
And these, the distance between these two? Have you measured them?
I approximated them, yes. And
What did you come up with?
visually, and I can see that there's a difference.
What was your measurement for this one?
I think about 4 centimeters, and this was a little bit more.
Did you note that in the report? Did you
No, I
actually
did
measure
not.
them? Did you actually take out a ruler, measure them, and document them as you studied these wounds? Did you go through that process during your methodology?
No, because this is an image, and there's no scale in this image as to how far away different points are. So my own measurement would not be accurate because there's no scale in the picture.
Why did you go through the process of measuring them if you're now saying that it's inaccurate after I asked you if you memorialized it? Why would you even do it if you're now saying it was inaccurate?
It was an approximate measurement in my mind.
In your mind?
What's
Yeah.
up,
But you
Jay?
never put it on a piece of paper or report, notes?
It's been a minute. You did not reply to my email, Jason. But thanks for showing me some love.
That's correct.
Why would you even go through the process if you're looking at it and your explanation is it's only a photo, I wouldn't be able to tell? Why would you even try to?
I think probably everybody in this room has already done the same thing.
And if anybody in this room did the same thing, it would be quite obvious, doctor, that the gaps between 1, 2, and 5 are dramatically different from each other, aren't they?
They are. However, I'm not saying the same exact teeth caused those marks.
When you testified yesterday, you used the term differential diagnosis. I want to ask you a lot of questions about differential diagnosis. Do you remember using that term?
Yes.
And differential diagnosis was really just a way for you
Let me see, Jason, which trials have you been following? Are you following Diddy or are you into the Karen Reed
to
trial?
try to get your opinion to the jury that these injuries were not consistent with a car accident. That's what a fancy way of doing it is, right?
No, it was a method I used.
Differential diagnosis, you're claiming that you can say this is not from a car accident or a car collision. That's what you're trying to say, aren't you?
That was the result of my differential diagnosis and my pattern recognition
So
methodologies.
if you're going to exclude a cause of the injury, in this case, a collision, you have to know a little bit about collisions, don't you?
Yeesh. Be
Very,
careful.
yes, I don't know how to answer that.
Well, try.
Can you be more specific?
If you're going to say that these superficial abrasions could not have been caused by a car collision, you kind of have to understand a little bit about the mechanics of a car collision, don't you?
Actually, I disagree.
Okay.
However, I've treated thousands of victims of motor vehicle accidents and have seen the wound patterns that they come into the emergency room.
All right, the expert. Let's go back a little bit. So this is correct.
Come up. Hey, by the way,
Oh, is this cross? I guess it's cross.
ask for transcripts.
What's the question?
Always be honest.
Okay. Wait, what?
Today or last night about this case.
Just that I should.
Wait, what?
Oh.
Hold on.
Other things. And no, not at all.
Hold on. I guess.
It's a frustration that you were having conversations. Yeah. Violation.
Come on.
Yes. Advice.
Folks.
From anybody suggesting you should ask.
I think we're about to get into something here.
June 21st, 2024. Did you express that you couldn't say with 100% certainty what type of animal, in your opinion, caused those wounds?
100% certainty. That is absolutely correct. And
Okay, Jason says the next witness is the bombshell. I don't have that much time because I actually did not watch the next witness. I wanted to get to the police officer from yesterday, though, because from my understanding is that she previously lied or was previously told to lie or something along those lines. And that's really what I was trying to get to. I might have to be up here a bit longer than I'd planned, but let's see how it goes.
I'd like to see that, but yes, I
Do you have a timestamp for me, Jason? Because if you have a timestamp, I can quickly skip to that before we move over to yesterday.
that's my recollection.
If it's your recollection, I'm happy to show you what
Yes,
you
please.
testified to. You want to
Yes.
see it again?
Yes.
Okay. And by the way, between last night and today, did you get any advice from anybody suggesting you should ask for a transcript when I ask you a question? Did that advice come your way?
That's my general advice from previous times.
Or did you have any advice last night about that?
Yes.
What
Who told
the
you-
hell? So the defense attorneys didn't Russell testify yesterday? I think yes, she must have testified yesterday because we're just busy with cross-examination right now. So it sounds like after she testified, the attorneys talked to her. And you guys know I have a problem with lawyers that skate the rules. I think people have to be ethical. At least when you do this line of work, you have to be ethical. There's a standard.
Last night that you should always ask for a transcript when I'm asking you questions.
Well, I think it was just Mr. Lessie.
Like, who was it? Like, answer the question. Answer the question. Alessi, why would you do that? Why did you not give her the information before she got on the stage? What?
Yes.
Who told you last night that you should always ask for a transcript when I'm asking you questions?
Well, I think it was just
She was about to tell some lies out here. She was about to tell a fib. Then she said, Bertha. I don't think her name's Bertha. I forgot. Marie, I think.
Mr. Lessie.
Girl.
So did you and Mr. Alessi, you know there's a sequestration order, don't you?
Right. Why? I suppose, again, if let's move on.
Yes.
Because Alessi was really my favorite. I really, really liked Alessi. I don't like lawyers that are not ethical, though.
It's a sequestration order that you're not supposed to discuss the case at all with anybody.
Well, we
during the-
didn't discuss specifics.
Do you know that the sequestration order mandates that you not discuss anything about the case from when you start your testimony until you end your testimony. You know that.
Why didn't you tell her before she got on the stand? You could have done that. You could have whispered in the hallway before she got on the stand.
Right?
I understand that there is a sequestration order.
Do you understand the sequestration order mandates that you're not supposed to speak to people, including the attorneys, about this case overnight? Did you understand?
That's more of an Alessi issue. That is not a Russell issue. I mean, she's kind of an expert though, so I don't know. Here's the thing. I think defense attorneys in this case, I'm not going to generalize, but so far I'm talking about Alessi's conduct, apparently coaching this woman after she's already on the stand and when there's a sequestration order in place. And I'm also referring to, there was an argument that was made. It was a motion. I cannot remember what the motion was. Oh, it is the same motion. It's a motion whereby Brandon was trying to exclude, I don't remember the witness's name, but the signal guy. Okay, they're trying to exclude the signal guy. And again, under those circumstances, the only reason that Bev Canoni ruled the way that she did, and I said she was going to rule that way, is because a criminal defendant has to put on a defense. So to me, based on those two instances, it sounds like the defense attorneys are of the opinion that they do not have to follow the rules. They can skate the rules. And the reason why they are prepared to skate the rules is because they do not bear the burden of proof. And at the end of the day, Karen Reed is entitled to a defense. The problem is, however, that is kind of a short-sighted, that is a narrow view. And the reason why it's a narrow view is because after the fact, bar complaints can be brought against these individuals. Okay, bar complaints can be brought. So I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know why they're thinking along these lines, but maybe they have I don't know. Even if they did, that shit doesn't make sense.
Understand that?
There were no specifics discussed.
Or did you understand that you weren't supposed to, is what I'm asking? Did you know that's a violation of the sequestration
No, I
order
didn't.
to speak to the attorneys overnight?
I did not know that.
Did you just say that you knew there was a sequestration order in place?
That particular conversation would be a violation.
So did you meet with attorney Alessi last night?
No.
Okay.
How was it that you had a conversation with him?
Actually, it might have been in the vehicle.
Which vehicle?
You drove together?
Yes.
Oh, so this is the Reddit post. The Reddit post that I came upon sometime during this live. Okay, so they drove together. Okay. All right.
How was it that you had a conversation with him?
Actually, it might have been in the vehicle.
You drove together?
Yes.
So did you commute to and from court together with attorney Alessi?
I have questions. Again, a lot of these courts that I've been seeing on these YouTube streets, people have been engaged in conduct that I've just not been seeing. And I've worked in some pretty country-ass places, okay? Like in the middle of nowhere. And usually in the country, that's where you see some really strange things. I don't understand this conduct. This goes with the defense attorneys having lunch or dinner, whatever, with the expert witnesses and involving expert witnesses in conversations during lunch. I don't get it. I don't get it. You have to cover your bases, okay? You have to cover I don't get it.
A driver.
Okay. Who else is in the car when you left court yesterday?
The driver.
When
No, I wasn't with him yesterday. No, not in the car yesterday. No.
Well, you just said that you spoke to attorney Alessi yesterday. And I'm trying to figure out when was it that you were having conversations with Mr. Alessi relative to the sequestration order that you're under?
This morning, riding to court.
Okay, so you and attorney Alessi drove to court?
With the limo driver, yes.
Who,
Hey, they rolled out the red carpet for Russell. They got a limo and everything.
was
Okay.
in the limo with you and Attorney Leslie on the way to court today?
That was just us.
Just you two?
Yeah.
What else did you both?
I don't know. So, uh, I have real questions, real concerns, and my mind is telling me they discuss far more than just asking for transcripts.
Talk about other than that you should ask for a transcript every time I ask you a question?
That's what we talked about specific to this case.
Was it a long conversation?
No, not at all.
The entire ride here, there must be more you spoke about other than just a sequestration order.
We did.
Listen, when I talk to my clients, I tell them if they ask you what your attorney told you to say, the response has to be the truth. I don't know, Alessi, I guess he coached her halfway through, but did not coach her all the way through.
We spoke about Boston, how I love Boston area. We spoke about New York. We spoke about other things. And in fact, I have to say that
How long was the ride? That's what I need to know. How long was the ride? How far? How long was the ride?
But on the ride home, back to the hotel yesterday with others in the car, nobody spoke about the case.
So the day before they rode together.
But I'm talking about this morning when you did speak about the case. What else? Not about the Red Sox or the weather. What else did you talk to Attorney Alessi about this morning other than you should ask for a transcript every time I ask you a question?
We talked about what I did last night.
About this case?
No,
I'm sorry, but
I mean, riding to get still that's not something I do. It's problematic in the sense that here's the thing. She's not Karen Reed. Okay. So Karen Reed can ride with her attorneys as much as she wants to. They're on the same team. With this Dr. Russell, though, she is supposed to, at least the way the defense is presenting her, she's supposed to appear neutral. She's supposed to appear as if she has no dog in this fight. Even if she has a dog in this dog bite fight, dog bite case or whatever it is, she's supposed to appear neutral. And unfortunately, that is not I'm getting distracted. I'm parenting you guys. So what time is it? She needs to be in bed. You need to be in bed. In any event, when it comes to, I'm going to mute myself in a little bit. When it comes to the presentation of the defense case, they're supposed to make this woman appear impartial. Because if she appears to be impartial, then the jury is much more likely to give greater weight to her testimony. And that's what they want.
but I'm asking about this case.
that was it.
I want to know what all the discussions were between you and this attorney today or last night about this case.
Just that I should ask for a transcript.
Well, there must have been some there must have been some context. He didn't just turn to you talking about the weather and say, hey, you should ask for a transcript. You must have been talking about something.
He also generally, not today, but generally says, be honest. Always be honest.
Fantastic. But this morning about your testimony, what did he tell you? Did he tell you this morning you should be honest?
Not this morning.
Okay. Does anybody need to remind you to be honest when you testify?
No.
What else did he tell? How did it come up? Hey, by the way, ask for transcripts.
I don't even know how it came up. I didn't put much significance to it.
Well, it was just moments ago it happened because you just got to court. You can't remember the context of the sage advice of Attorney Alessi?
No.
You have any memory issues?
No.
Hold on.
May I approach?
Yes. Hold on. Wait.
Court.
I don't
Let's go back.
be honest. But
About something. Turn to you talking about the weather and say, hey, you should ask for a transcript. You must have been talking about something.
he also generally, not today, but generally says, be honest. Always be honest.
Fantastic. But this morning,
That man said fantastic. Okay.
about your testimony, what did he tell you? Did he tell you this
Shout out to Fever though. Fever was watching, or at least he commented on my shorts this morning. So big shout out to Fever.
morning? You should be honest.
Not this morning.
So this morning he didn't tell you, to be honest. And my big problem, my real issue with improper conduct as it relates to attorneys, right? Be it prosecution, be it defense. The problem is really as far as the defense. The problem is that the focus of the jury then shifts from whatever it is you wanted them to focus on, and it's redirected to someplace else. And that someplace is your improper conduct. So that's what I don't like about this move here. I don't know what the hell these people are.
Does anybody need to remind you to be honest when you testify?
No.
What else did he tell? How did it come up? Hey, by the way, ask
I-
for transcripts.
I don't even know how it came up. I didn't put much significance to it.
Well, it was just moments ago it happened because you just got to court. You can't remember the context of the sage advice of Attorney Alessi?
Sage advice.
No.
You have any memory issues?
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I need to go back. Brooklyn said that's low. What's low? I need to. She said what? Shout out to Big Russell though.
Remember the context of the sage advice of Attorney Alessi?
no.
You have any memory issues?
Oh,
He's so surprised.
no.
She looks disappointed. She's like, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm sorry. She said, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I do not have any memory issues.
May I approach?
Yes.
Brooklyn said, why am I laughing? Because Big Russell is funny.
Transcript.
She acted surprised. Okay, are we done?
Since you've
All
asked
right. Oh, wait, what?
the transcript, I have it for you.
Okay.
Dr. Russell, this is June 21st, 2024. I had asked you whether you
Find another
expressed
timestamp.
that you couldn't say with 100% certainty. You agreed with my answer, so there's no need to try to refresh your memory, but we're going to show it to you because you asked. Take a look at line 16.
Oh, did that one.
Is that now consistent with the questions I asked you and the answer that you gave, that you were less than, you couldn't be 100% certain?
That looks different, yes.
I don't know. I think we already did this. Didn't we do this?
You have to, of those wounds, the distance as the outside.
Maybe not.
You think
Teeth.
if this was an arc like you claimed, you think different teeth other than the canines could have caused the outside scratches?
It's possible.
And you do note the distance between the top and
Tomorrow's what, Wednesday? I might have to come up here. No, I'm not coming up here tomorrow. There's a lot that I just cannot get through all this stuff. So here's what we're gonna do. On Thursday, I'm not going to work. I'm chaperoning a field trip, but that's I don't have to be there until 9. I do get up very early. Okay, I get up really, really early. So on Thursday, we already, we usually do Tuesday, Thursday, 8:30 p.m. I'll still be back at 8:30 p.m. But let's have a morning session on Thursday, okay? And let me think about a time because I could really start at 7. I could start at 7, but do you guys really want to listen to Karen Reed at 7 in the morning? Let me think about it.
bottom of those wounds compared to the distance in number 2 and the distance in number 1.
I see the difference, yes.
And you have to concede, Dr. Russell, that the same set of teeth, the same canines could not reasonably have caused this wound, and this wound, given the distance between the inside and outside?
First of all, I'm not certain. I'm not certain that these are all canines, as I mentioned earlier.
And this is what I said. Okay. No, but that's actually not good. That's not good for her. Never mind.
Secondly, you have to take in.
That is not good for her. Because I was gonna talk about how she stands her ground, but that's a problematic response.
To account that skin is elastic, it bends, it depresses. So you could have two prongs, for instance, of a pitchfork, for instance, just as an example, impact the skin in different places, and the measurement between the two can be slightly different depending on the elasticity of the skin and the underlying structures.
This is not a slight difference, Dr. Russell, is it? The distances?
Again,
Objection, Your Honor.
So there was a question of that, so I'm gonna let that.
Again, Dr. Russell, the distance here, it's not insignificant, is it?
Mr. Brennan, I already mentioned that I did not think that these were caused by two canine teeth.
And these, the distance between these
Do you
two,
have another
have
timestamp?
you measured them?
I approximated them, yes.
What did
And
you- what did you come up with?
visually, and I can see that there's a difference.
What was your measurement for this one?
I think about 4 centimeters, and this was a little bit more.
Did you note that in the report? Did you
No, I
actually
did
measure
not.
them? Did you actually take out a ruler, measure them, and document them as you studied these wounds? Did you go through that process during your methodology?
No, because this is an image, and there's no scale in this image as to how far away different points are. So my own measurement would not be accurate because there's no scale in the picture.
Like
All right.
a broken
I know I keep saying this. This is probably the last timestamp, okay? Wait, is my device about to die? All right, let's just go back a little bit for context.
Assume the weather is so cold that the
Okay, let's go back just a little bit.
Ring of the body wall,
on the area that may bruise,
not
6.8 to about 80 degrees. Would that have a similar effect, the 6.8 to about 80 degrees? Would that have a similar effect to ice on the area that may bruise?
Not exactly.
Okay.
You want me to explain?
I do.
Okay, yes. So as the snowflakes fall, yes, there will be a gradual lowering of the body temperature and gradual effect on the body. Now, as opposed to in the ER or in a medical setting, if I or another practitioner, and by the way, nurses and nurse practitioners and PAs also treat dog bite wounds. But if another practitioner, a practitioner gives the person an ice pack, they get immediate coldness and immediate significant change in temperature to that area.
Until
Assume the weather is so cold that the cell phone battery on someone's iPhone begins to plummet regularly in degrees.
I have no idea.
Objection, Your Honor.
So the objection sustained.
Thank you.
When you came to your conclusion, considering what you see in this picture, and Attorney Alisi was asking you about fragments from a broken taillight, did you know or consider that Mr. O'Keefe, sometime around when he incurred these wounds, had a piece of glass stuck in his nose?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
is that it?
Finally, Dr. Russell, you said during your differential diagnosis, you consider information, you either weigh it, accept it, or
Oh, here's
you...
the other thing. I do not know where that timestamp is. I cannot. There's no way. I was not taking notes. But now that I think about it, the question about the fragment of glass or tail light that was stuck allegedly on John O'Keefe's nose. So, sometime today when I tuned in, Brennan asked Dr. Russell whether she was aware of statements that Karen Reed made regarding this trial. And she said she was. I don't remember if she became aware before or after. And then as it related to the I hit him, did I hit him? Um, Dr. Russell said something about shock or something along those lines. Um, and Brennan, again, Brennan is a really good cross examiner. Okay. Brennan pretty much, he did not even argue with her. Okay. What he then asked her is, okay, it's one thing to be shocked at the scene and to have this reaction that Dr. Russell was talking about. But would she continue to have the same reaction 2 years down the line while she's being interviewed by, X, Y, and Z and appearing on 60 Minutes and the like? And I thought that was really good cross examination. But obviously, Big Dog Russell, she found a way to explain that away. So, yeah.
Distinguish it and you disregard it,
Let me-
correct?
Yes, generally.
During your differential diagnosis, you've referred to a number of different people studies, things that you haven't done yourself, but you've looked at other people's efforts. One of the things you looked at was the deputy medical examiner from the Forensic Pathology Investigations Division of the Armed Forces, a person by the name of John C. Walsh, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Would you like me to ask that again, Dr. Russell?
No, you don't have to ask it. I read that report, yes.
And John C. Walsh is a doctor, correct?
Yes, that's what it says.
And do you have any understanding that he works with the Forensic Pathology Investigations Division of the Armed Forces?
Yes, and therefore his practice may be limited in scope.
Well, you are kind of
That's the one thing about that's Dr. Russell. That's why, again, Dr. Russell makes a good witness. She's a little shaky, but she finds her way around.
Pathology Investigations Division of the Armed Forces.
Yes, and therefore his practice may be limited in scope.
Well, you are trying to qualify what he doesn't do. Do you know if his practice is limited in scope?
Typically the medical examiners that work for the armed forces often have a specific practice that is limited in scope.
Do you know anything about Mr. Walsh and his practice?
No.
Why do you find the need to try to undermine
Right.
the extent of his authority before you know anything? Why is that important?
Objection.
Sustained.
I mean, that is argumentative, but I'd like to know. I mean, it is Big Russell. I'd like to know.
You don't know what his scope and practice is, do you?
No, but I always look at where the person
Don't say always, only, never, ever.
works that writes the report in terms of physicians
And
and what their possible experiences are. Do they work in a medical examiner's office in Alaska or Hawaii or a big city or a little town? I look at those things.
when you considered his opinions after his review of these materials, did you consider when he offered in his report that multiple abrasions ranging in size from 2 to 3 millimeters up to 7 centimeters were documented on the decedent's right arm?
Yes.
These injuries do not photographically appear to be, nor are described as puncture, bite wounds, and thus are highly unlikely to be the result of an
He's ready
animal
to
bite
respond.
attack. The abrasions are non-specific. Abrasions occur as the body moves over a blunt or rough surface such as a skinned knee. Did you read his report and consider it?
I did. However, I don't know if he's ever had any experience with dog bites examinations. So I had to consider that and weigh it.
Okay.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Very good.
Yes.
What time did you get off the stand?
Dr. Russell, there were questions with regard to highlighting of articles.
Mm-hmm.
Did I determine which parts were to be highlighted, or did I merely perform the function of highlighting the parts you wanted me to highlight?
This is terrible. I don't like this. I don't like it at all. It's similar to an attorney, the trial attorney that goes out to have conversations with, be it, their own witness or another witness. Use an investigator. Okay. That avoids instances where you are arguing with a witness about what was said and what was not said. It's just, I think it's a little sloppy.
Because you didn't have a highlighting function with you traveling from California.
That is correct. It's the second one.
With regard to these articles, you mentioned a methodology in connection with them and a pattern recognition methodology. Was it the purpose of citing this article to say that they're just like this situation, or was the purpose to say that there is a methodology in the literature to determine how to determine whether a wound is from a dog?
Objection.
Sustained is to the form.
Dr. Russell, what is the purpose? Let's just start with the Demunic article that was talked about, because these articles were discussed. What was the purpose of you citing to those articles?
The purpose was to identify that pattern recognition is an important component in identifying wounds, and particularly in dog bite wounds. It did not mean that the victim had to have every single characteristic that was listed. And it just was focusing on things to look for, and the patterns. It was not just that there's one individual wound that's going to be diagnostic, but that there are patterns for the physician to look for.
In terms of Attorney Brennan asked.
Hold on.
Yeah, proceed.
Have any personal relationship with the Canton Police Department?
I did not.
Did you have any personal relationship with a trooper from the Mass?
Okay.
Back in 2000.
I don't have a timestamp for
It is.
this. So
Did you and I ever speak, ever, before your testimony last year?
No.
Did I ever tell you?
I don't have a timestamp, so I don't know what they're talking about. But let's see, how did the proceedings end today? Was it sidebar? I guess. All right, folks. So that's the end. Let us reconvene on Thursday morning, because I really want to go back to that. I want to go back to yesterday's testimony from the officer. She was female. I remember the last name starts with a D. I just don't remember what her actual name is. So let us do that on Thursday. What time? Give me a second. Do we want to start at 7? Let us start at 7:15, okay? I'm going to start at 7:15. That's going to give me some time to eat. Okay, so I'm going to schedule it right now, 7:15, and then we'll still do the regular 8:30 p.m. at night, okay? I think that's enough time for us to cover, what is this? That's enough time for us to cover the officer's testimony. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. It was so wonderful. This was great. Okay, I liked Alessi and Brennan going at it. I enjoyed it a lot. I always do. Shout out to you guys. Have a fantastic Wednesday. Let's reconvene on Thursday.